Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing. And it looks like we are live. It's about 4 minutes to 9, so I'm going to give it a few more to let everybody file in. Excellent, Wrathful. How are you today? Or this evening, I should probably say. Can you hear me all right? Welcome, Chaos. We're still a little bit early. I'm just going to give it a few minutes to let everybody file in. Might be a good time to, smoke them if you got them. Speaking of which, I'll be right back. Hello, CJ. How are you? Very happy you made it. I was just saying to the rest of the group, we're all still a couple minutes early, so I'm just giving it a couple minutes, letting everybody file in. Excuse me while I tap this. Swedish, welcome. So if it's 2 a.m. on a normal Saturday night, then it means it's 3 a.m. for you right now, correct? Hey, Paul, welcome. Very happy you made it. And I absolutely love the Mandalorian Chaos Night. Mandalorian, all Star Wars movies, the animated shows. Love Vader Immortal. Great. I don't know if you could call it a game. Great experience. But yeah, everything Star Wars. Love it. Sweet. Glad the audio is good. Everything's going well. Can't complain. And if I did, who would really listen? But no, everything's good. Cara Dune, yes, I agree. She is an awesome character. Am I going to play what, Vader Immortal? Maybe on my side channel at some point. I don't think it's something that would be appropriate for this channel. But the gaming channel is up and going. And it is officially 9 o'clock. So welcome, everybody, to the Sociopathic Cleaving Thought from Bone live stream with a live reading of Malice Sap. It has been a while since we have done this. So to recap, I am apologizing in advance for all the mistakes I'm going to make live. Been sweating bullets ever since I posted this on Tuesday, I believe it was. So once I do get started here, again, all apologies up front. If this is the first time you've ever tuned into one of my live streams, most of the time my videos, I have to do in about 30 different audio clips and clip them all together. So I mess up about 30 times per story on average. So yeah, we'll just see how it goes once we get started. All right, just getting adjusted here. Hitting my vape. Excellent. All right, well, I guess my hair leaves a little bit left to be desired, but welcome everybody to another live stream with me, Sociopathic. If you're wondering why you can see my eyes, it's this way I can read your comments. Very happy that you could all make it here tonight. But yeah, figured I would drop in, least let you know it's me. I'm not just hiring some other actor to play me. um, do hope you enjoy the live stream. Again, I probably will mess up quite a few times, but we got to get it kicked off here pretty soon. So I will do my very best, Chaos, for sure. I will do my very best. Okay, so time to put this magic sleeve back on and take a hit off the vape, and we'll get the story started. Well, that's a good idea, right? My daughter's laughing over the little thing that I slip over the camera. Sleeve. But yeah, it keeps you of everybody from seeing my face and makes it so I can read this story. So, all right. So I guess it's about time to get started. I've only read this once on my previous channel. It is littered with some spelling errors and stuff like that. So, like I said, I'm going to do my very best with it, but I might trip up a few times. So just bear with me. Just waiting for the dog in the background to settle down, and then we'll get started. I call this one the Malice Sap. There's a tall tree deep in the forest, unlike any other. It's a hardwood, like that of a maple or a birch, with a thick trunk covered in coarse bark, from which sprout long, slender limbs, adorning hundreds of leaves that seemingly want to shimmer in the breeze of a cool summer day. However, this tree is not a maple or a birch or any other known species of tree or shrubbery. Its details and attributes defy definition, and therefore lack an appropriate, coinciding name that makes for a much easier reference than this lengthy description. I have dubbed it a malice tree. I should say that I have only recently arrived at this label, as for a long while, this ageless construct of timber was a source of pleasure, seclusion, and safety. But the best laid plans and traps often lend no foresight to those for whom they are designed to ensnare. So, how could I have possibly have known what I would unleash? What you have to understand about this particular tree is the place where it grew, a grotto deep in the forest behind my home, which always had a way of making me feel better in a manner that I could not explain away with ration and logic alone. It wasn't particularly, excuse me, I wasn't particularly liked in school. I literally had no friends. I know, what kind of kid has no friends? But I didn't. Kids call me names, told me I was less than they were. It would have been nice to run home and feel safe behind those closed doors, but the abuse followed me like a stray dog. My dad drinks, and my mom abuses prescription drugs. More times than not, I'd return home after school to a mother passed out on the couch and a father more inclined to beat and scream at his family than to take care of them. The winters here are remarkably mild, and rain is an infrequent event as well, so more days than not, I spent my free time in the woods, headed in any direction away from my home until the distance created between I and it had facilitated a feeling of security. Secure, yes, but a sense of well-being continually eluded me, for days endless in the eyes of a child. But that all changed the day I discovered that tree, unlike any other. I'll never forget that day as long as I live. I'll never forget, excuse me. I'll never forget that day as long as I live. I never thought of myself as a creature of habit, and believed I knew these woods like the back of my hand. But as I progressed east to a point where I had rarely ventured to, I noted what looked like a path that I had never seen before. I assumed that I had overlooked it because of my infrequency in the area, that the overgrowth, low-hanging branches, and thick bramble had obstructed my detection of it. But previous events of concealment and neglect were superseded by the curiosity that burned in me like a fire. The meadow-like opening that sprawled out before me displayed enough enchantment and mystery in its appearance alone to let me know that there was something special about the location I had literally just stumbled upon. The grass that now grew in the open sunlight above rose tall, bright green with life. Rays of light scattered through the canopy's circumference like warm butter through a mesh, cascading to the ground beneath into my skin in its warm embrace, not unlike my most favorite blanket. Smells of juniper, lilac, pine, and more blended together in a barely detectable potpourri that was both delicate and sweet. Small puffs of pollen and dandelion hairs wisped about the air like a barrage of fairies putting on a show just for me. But there was something tall, looming, and so pronounced that it practically grabbed my attention resolutely and almost refused to let it go. The object, of course, was none other than the tree. Its bark a dark brown, rigid yet smooth, like petrified wrinkly skin. The earth around it, in a radius of about 5 feet, was barren and devoid of grass. And at the sight of those spindly branches, a single reoccurring thought echoed in my mind without pause. What kind of tree has black leaves? I've seen pictures of various species of flora with dark leaves, some even black, but not like this. These were black, black, like ink, and reflected no sheen. Their flat hue seemed to almost absorb the light that touched the surface, reflecting back none, leaving only a void of blackness in their wake for my eyes to perceive, like small chunks of reality were missing, each in the shape of a leaf. I don't know if my actions were guided or if autonomy was driven by intrigue, but I found myself walking towards it, and the feeling was almost instantly noticeable. It was as if depression, hopelessness, and sorrow were a large boulder laying across my chest, and with each step taken, that literal weight was slowly being lifted. It had been so long that I had felt truly happy that I nearly forgotten what it felt like. It was like impulse, like I knew what I was supposed to do, and I reached out with one trembling hand, placed it upon the bark at chest level. There isn't words to describe the torrent of negativity being... excuse me. There isn't words to describe the torrent of negativity being flushed from every cell in my body. It was like all the troubles of the world had left me, and the grief no longer remained. The tree was bliss, a bliss that I had never known. Days turned into weeks, and those weeks turned into months. With each turn of the earth, the promise of a new day dawned. With that promise came an oath to agony. The tree was stationary, rooted in place where it grew, and its power was limited to there. This created a necessity for frequent returns to the forest. Changes in season brought with it bleakness that had yet to affect the temperature. The color of green in the woods had yet to change to the oranges and yellows of the fall, but alterations to that cursed tree had begun to arise. Small beads of what almost looked like black sweat began forming on the surface of the bark. It went unnoticed at first, but given enough time, their increasing presence had finally prompted my recognition. Not only that, but with each return, there seemed to be more and more of it until it nearly threatened to cover the trunk of the tree entirely. The stuff was matte blacks. Excuse me once more. The stuff was a matte black substance, much like the leaves of the tree, and although I assumed the substance to adhere and although I assumed the substance to adhere to my skin upon placing my palm to the bark, I found myself confused at the contrary. I had seen the bark leak for myself, coinciding with my touch and the relief of my suffering. Finally, I understood. Last week, I got into a pretty bad fight at school. Most parents would care if their child came home with a swollen black eye, but mine didn't. My parents barely batted an eyelash at me. So, I devised a plan, a series of events that I would set into motion, resulting in the alleviation of my despair. So, the following day, I approached the boy who so thoroughly enjoyed making my life as much of a living hell as was in his capacity to do so. Jesse was his name, and there wasn't much of anything good about him to be Jesse was his name, and there wasn't much of anything good about him to be reiterated. The kind of future criminal already known for instances and rumors of date rape and burglary and animal cruelty. No one really liked him. The only ones who would associate with him were those who enjoyed the power he commanded while remaining tightly bound in fear of Jesse's retaliation. But that day, I made sure to approach him alone. Jesse taunted me as I approached him, commenting on the handiwork he had done to my face, a smirk that begged to be wiped clean. I was obliged to help. I implored him with the promise of money. Excuse me. I implored him with a promise of money, a hidden cache I kept deep in the forest. It didn't take much convincing to get him to accompany. It didn't take much convincing to get him to accompany me alone after that. He claimed agreement in sparing me his malevolent attention upon delivering me of my He claimed agreement in sparing me his malevolent attention upon delivering of my promise. And he may have been telling the truth, but it was too late for him. When Jesse first saw the tree, a look of astonishment at first glance seemed to mimic my own. He looked at me with questioning in his expression, and I told him that which he sought to procure lay within a softball-sized knot hole in the side of the trunk. Eagerly, Jesse ran up to the tree, finding the void that I described to him, and stuck his hand inside, expecting over $100 to meet his touch. But I knew he had no way of avoiding contact with the bark, and when his flesh made contact, a grotesque transformation that I did not expect played out before me, the suddenness of it jarring and paralyzing, leaving me with no choice but to watch unflinchingly as the lack leaving me no choice but to watch unflinchingly as, for lack of a better word, Jesse was absorbed into the tree, or at least most of him. Jesse screamed in terror as he desperately tried to pull himself free, a trepidation that increased when he placed his other hand upon the trunk for leverage, only to become further bonded. I heard the sounds of bones breaking, flesh tearing, and violent suction, as if sucking 100 cockroaches through a straw. Jesse's cries of fear had long since turned to those of agony and desperation, and all I could do was laugh. I chuckled to myself, staring on in delight until all that was left of him were a few bloody chunks and a red stain. That's when something happened that I did not expect. The tree was splitting, cracking wide open near to its base. The crevice formed, expanding at both ends. A thick, black fluid began to ooze from the void like a wound, but thicker than blood, pouring to the foot of the tree at its roots. Nearly torn in twain, the cracking noises had ceased. The splitting of the tree stopped, but the black fluid heaped at its base, churned and heaved, expanding upwards at its center. Slowly but efficiently, I watched in shock, unbelieving the image of thick, sap-like forming material. Slowly but efficiently, I watched on in shock, unbelieving the image of thick, sap-like material forming itself into something resembling a humanoid. I began to wonder why I wasn't running, and then I redoubled my efforts to do so. That's when I realized some unseen force was holding me in place. I couldn't even will myself to blink. That's when it spoke to me. This human-shaped mass, completely covered with a sticky black ooze that looked blacker than the most pitch of deep space, dangling strands of the same from every part of its body, leering over me at what must have been at least 6 feet tall, with no facial features at all, and began to speak to me. How it could speak without a mouth was beyond my capacity for understanding, and still is. But then again, much of this is just that, beyond me. But what it said, I already knew. This thing was negativity, evil, as it were, I suppose. The tree, it would drain me of all my bad thoughts and emotions and take them for its own, like a willow seeking and drinking its water. I couldn't explain it, but I knew those beads of black sap were concentrations of negativity and pain. My pain. Jesse was mostly evil. I already knew this, and the little that remained of him was a testament to my assertion. But I could have never expected this concentration of evil and anguish to take on a sentient life of its own. Deciding my bounty of pain was too limited for considerable sustenance, the thing let me go, and I ran all the way home. Now I sit in my room, writing this for anyone who may read it and hopefully share it. I can hear the screams of my parents from beyond the door, shouts that seem to have just now gone silent. I'm not surprised. Whatever monstrosity I've helped to create is alive now, and it needs to feed. It shouldn't come as a shock that the creature would follow the aroma of neglect, abuse, and wickedness. Excuse me. Need a drink. It shouldn't come as a shock that the creature would follow the aroma of neglect, abuse, and wickedness to my parents' front doorstep. Honestly, what scares me now is what will happen when the food supply runs short. This is a small community, and a steady supply of the most horrendous individuals imaginable will run dry eventually. I suppose it will then have no choice but to take what it can from the rest of us, because no one is truly all good. And that was the Malice Sap. So, hope you enjoyed it. Sorry about the, I don't know, what, 5, 10 screw ups. I really wasn't counting. Had the dog tap dancing in the background. It was kind of breaking my concentration a little bit there for a second or two. But yeah, hope you enjoyed it. I am going to go grab a quick drink of water. I have got a little something stuck in my throat, and I don't want to clear it over the air. So just give me 1 second. Oh, I am back, and now I have a drink, and I'm not quite so nervous because I don't have to read a story. He is a black lab, Alexander. He is 13 years old now, 14. He's an old dog. There was a spot there in the middle where I kept like screwing up like every single second. But that's like I said, had a tap dancing dog in the background. Might have to address that preemptively before my next stream, I think. Oh, so I hope you guys liked that story. Like I said, I wrote that a while ago. I have only read it once, and I believe I've got the inspiration for that from Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, if I'm not mistaken. The Malice. Little little trivia tidbit. Yeah, he basically does that. He needs to have his nails trimmed, so whenever he walks, he tap dances. But I figure a combination of trimming nails and putting him in the back room before I live stream next time might be the way to go. So good night, Swedish. I know I missed your good night. You were leaving. Probably not here. If you do tune back in, good night. I did want to say good night, but I also wanted to continue on with the story. I didn't want to break that immersion at least as much as I possibly could. Screw ups don't help with that. The Witches comic that came out a few. I don't believe I have. I don't believe that's something that I have know of. I'm not really a big comic guy. I will say this: I've been playing Lies Beneath on the Oculus Quest in VR. That is pretty sick. That's kind of terrifying at times. It's a lot of fun though for something terrifying. It reminds me a lot of Silent Hill mixed with Resident Evil 4. But that's about the extent of my con. The reason I say that is because it's done in comic book style. Kind of like Creepshow. Like opens up with a comic book, you flip the pages, and then you go into the comic book, and everything's like paint and stuff. It's pretty cool. So the next challenge is going to be to try to figure out what I've got to read next time I live stream. Little 10, 15 minute stories are starting to run dry. Yes, they are. The books I have in the description, they're both mine. You'll find that most of those stories have been narrated. Almost all of them were narrated at one point. Each book does have a story that I've never narrated. So, can't remember the name of the story in From Anguish to Ashes. I think that's what the last story is called. I think is From Anguish to Ashes is what it is. And then the last story in Cleaving Thought from Bone is Dog Eat Dog. Neither one of those stories I've narrated on the channel. And the first one is actually specific to the book itself. There's another story with a tree. Shit. I should know it too. I can't believe it's right on the tip of my tongue. The kid with the skull face and the tree and takes the hearts from people. Used to listen to it on Mr. Creepypasta's channel. Can't remember the name of that. Hobo Heart, I think. I think it's Hobo Heart. That's a good story with a tree, since we're on that topic. Yeah, Hobo Heart. It's a good story. I like that one. So also, you guys know, obviously, I'm premiering tomorrow. I believe tomorrow's premiere is Where Monsters Come From. Yeah, that's, sorry, I've got next weekend's story is uploaded, and I am currently working on the story for the weekend after next weekend. And if you guys saw the video post that I put up yesterday, coming soon, that's the story that's coming the weekend after, not tomorrow, not the Saturday after that, but the Saturday after that one. That's the story I'm working on. And the reason I put them all off like that is it's a Locust Lake, and Locust Lake stories take up a ton of time to make. They're not as easy as making, any of the other stories that I do, really, because there's so many different voice parts, and there's a lot of sound effects that go into it, and they're typically longer, and it's just a higher production for the Locust Lake stories, but always well worth it. And we have a great crew this time. My wife's going to be in it. The writer, Doughboy 420, he plays a role in it. Deadleaf Clover, Gothic Rose, Pennytails Up, Spirit Voices, Creepy Clown Girl. I get everybody. I don't know if I got everybody. There's a lot of good people in it, so it's going to be a great story. Hope you guys are able to tune into that one as well. I know everybody likes the Locust Lakes. But yeah, also the side channel, as you guys know, that's another thing I wanted to talk about. I don't know if it's really appropriate for this channel or not, because it's about the side channel. But if you notice, the VR videos I do are, guess you could say, not the best quality. They're in like 480p. I guess that's like at best. It's really not. A lot of them are worse. The audio on some of them is kind of bad. That's not my fault. That's streaming to Facebook. I'm still trying to play with it, trying to get it to work a little bit better so I can do better videos for you. Don't have a way to cast it to my TV, and I don't have a capture card. But I am planning on doing some more Let's Plays of some retro games like Nintendo, Super Nintendo, stuff like that I can do emulators of on my computer. So you'll probably see more of those videos up there as well in the future. And hopefully I can get the Oculus tweaked enough, or Facebook puts out some updates to get that streaming working a little bit better. But again, I just wanted to put that out there in case anybody has tuned into the side channel and seen the quality of the videos. I mean, they're not terrible, but there's a lot of things that I really wish. Like there's no detail. You really can't see how pretty things look in the videos that I'm able to put out, unfortunately. So have you guys seen any good scary movies lately? I'm kind of going through a dry spell. Feels like I've seen everything, and there's nothing good that's come out yet. At least not recently. So if you guys have any movie suggestions, feel free to throw them into the comments. And that's true, Chaos. I can only ever improve. And that's something I'm going to be trying to do. I'm really, really happy I can start doing these live streams again. It's going to make things a lot easier, a lot better, a lot more fun. And I mean, it says right in the banner of the channel page, live streams monthly. So it feels like false advertising if I'm not doing live streams. So when you say you never actually got into VR, Alex, it leads me to believe that you've tried it and you just never got into it. Is that correct? Yeah, I used to binge horror a lot too, but now I binge everything. Kind of upset that season 3 of Cobra Kai isn't out yet. I understand with the pandemic and everything that's going on. I mean, production, localization, and marketing, and all that kind of stuff. But come on, man, it's been a year. I want more Cobra Kai. Psychological horror horse girl and starfish. Is that a title? If so, that's a very intriguing title. It's something I'll definitely have to be looking at. I'm going to copy that to the clipboard. If that's a title, I gotta at least read the plot synopsis. Ah, so it might be a little bit more difficult for you to get into VR then. That's kind of shitty. My buddy co-writer actually, Doughboy 420, he's also quote unquote tried to get into VR and couldn't. He has the PlayStation VR and he says he just gets motion sick like really, really quickly. And like I know him really well. He's a really big gamer and I know how long he's been waiting for something to allow him to be able to put himself into a game. So for him not to be able to play VR that just sucks. So I do feel really bad for him. I, on the other hand, I have really, really strong VR legs. I don't get motion sickness very, very easily in VR at all. So that's very helpful to me. But yeah, hats off to you, Doughboy. I feel bad for you, man. Try to tell him about teleporting and snap turning and comfort controls and stuff, but I don't think he's even gone back in and tried because that's what happens if your first experience is a really, really bad experience. You don't tend to give it another go. Ah, so psychological horror horse girl and starfish, two different movies. Gotcha. Well, it's to the clipboard. I'm going to look them both up. The first one sounds quite intriguing. My wife just recently picked up an Oculus Quest as well, so we've been able to play online together, go to the movies a little bit. We actually went to the movies on Sunday for date night in virtual reality. That was pretty cool. But yeah, getting back to that whole first time thing, a lot of people think it's funny to put a VR headset on somebody and have them do like a climbing wall or that plank experience falling simulator and like push somebody when they have the VR headset on to like scare them or freak them out. Or do something like that cruel to somebody when they have the headset on because they can't see. That tends to give people a really bad experience as well. And again, those people tend to never ever go back. So just be wary if you're ever trying to share something like that with somebody. And that really, I guess, goes for anything, not just like a virtual reality headset. But you always want to make sure that they have the most pleasant experience possible their first time using something. So always you don't want to just be like, hey, try out this falling simulator. Do the First Steps app. Give them time to try things out and whatnot. So I mean, I guess that kind of goes with just about everything. Now that I think about it, some certain things that I won't mention here, but you understand what I'm getting at. Anyways, it was very nice to see all you guys. Q&A is opened up too. If you guys want to fire any questions away, I'd be more than happy to answer them. I am running out of topics to talk about. Not saying that my life is particularly boring, but I've been stuck in quarantine for about a month and a half, so about all I have to talk about is movies and video games. And two, can't really talk about too much about what I do for my real job and stuff like that. Plus, it's not really appropriate to do that here. So I am running out of things to discuss. So if you guys want to go ahead and throw some things at me, questions, comments, concerns, anything like that, by all means, fire away. I'm gonna take a hit or two off my vape. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, seeing the looks familiar thing up there, was thinking about possibly writing another familiar story. If you guys would be interested in that, don't know if you guys have read listened to the 3 familiar stories I've put up so far, the familiar profile, and surviving familiar territory. But if you would like more stories out of that canon, by all means, let me know, because it is a series I really would like to do more with. There's a lot of, I believe, at least a lot of potential there. Out of RoboCop, Alien, Predator, and Blade Runner. Not Blade Runner. Like Blade Runner, but I don't know, man. RoboCop's a fantastic movie. Alien's awesome, and so is Predator. I don't know if I could choose between RoboCop, Alien, and Predator. That's almost unfair. Like, the first Predator is awesome. I grew up with it. Same thing with RoboCop. I mean, RoboCop is love that movie. First one's great. In Alien, I mean, I didn't see that until later in life, like my teens. But that's still a really, really good movie. So I don't know, but not Blade Runner. So if I had to pick one of those four, the first three would be tied. Okay. Well, Chaos Knight is interested in hearing more familiar, so I will have to work on more familiar stories, at least one, and go from there. That first one, the familiar, I really like that story. I think I've read that now a total of 4 times. Read that 3 times on my previous channel, and now I've read that once here. And the familiar profile actually was supposed to be a live stream, but YouTube changed the rules about live streaming, and I couldn't get it working on my computer for X amount of time. I don't know if that's because I wasn't doing it correctly, or because they didn't enable the browser webcam thing yet. Because I was told that you had to download a program and use your own encoder. And I tried to. It's not like I didn't try for you guys. I did, but I just couldn't get it to work. So but that was supposed to be a live stream. Once I read it, I was actually kind of glad it wasn't. It ended up being a little bit longer than what I remembered it to be. So I'm kind of glad it wasn't a live stream, but I was saving that for a live reading. My old stories, CJ. If you go to my channel page and scroll down to the bottom to miscellaneous videos, you'll see a video entitled Dirty Laundry. If you go to the live stream playlist, the kickoff live stream, both of those videos will explain in great detail exactly what happened. But basically, because you know my old channel, you know that I didn't just read my stories or stories written by my co-writers, that I would read stories off the Creepypasta site and stuff like that. Just stories that you'd find on everybody's channels. Well, there's one particular website that I went to and was reading some stories off of for a while. Actually, it was back in year 1 of my channel. Fast forward to halfway through year 4, somebody from that website found out that I read 3 of their stories. Now, my videos weren't monetized, never made a dime. Always willing to put in recognition of the author. In fact, the author's name was in the stories. There was a link to his stories in the description, so it was basically free publicity. But I didn't understand this at the time. Sometimes when people do stories, there's an agreement that nobody else can like reproduce them or narrate them without explicit permission. So it doesn't matter if they're free or if I'm monetizing, making money or not. But he could have just emailed me, asked me to take them down. I would have taken them down. I'm imagining maybe this person doesn't really understand YouTube policies. I don't think they're really a big YouTuber. Um, so they just reported the 3 videos of mine that I did instantly in the same day. And you know how YouTube works. When 3 videos get reported, you immediately get taken down. No questions, no ifs, ands, or buts. You are automatically suspended. And then they went back through my channel and decided that they were just going to terminate it. And they deleted my channel. So that is what happened to my old channel. In a nutshell. Hey JS, what's going on? Glad you could make it to the stream, man. Gonna be ending it soon. Sorry you missed the story. But I'm going to be leaving this up on my channel. And just like with all my other live streams, I will be repurposing this story, clipping out the bad parts and putting in music, and then I'll re-upload it at a later point. So if you don't want to listen to it with the mess ups in it and without music and stuff like that, it will be repurposed and re-uploaded. Yeah, it did suck chaos, but here's my counter to that. Because that channel had so many videos up that weren't mine, that could never ever be monetized because I never had permission to read the stories. Um, I was never able to monetize my old channel. Now that I have this channel, and because of all of you guys that have turned in and every single weekend clicked the like button, shared around, let everybody know that, hey, sociopathic pasta is now on this channel doing this. And because of you guys, I was able to get the subscribers and the views I needed within a year to monetize this channel. Now, granted, I just monetized it last week. I don't think I'll be making a ton of money right now because I think it's only showing cents per day, not dollars per day, which is fine. It doesn't bother me. Hey, if I make 5 cents off this channel, I don't care. I'm a paid writer, and I consider that to be a dream come true. So the amount of money isn't really an issue. Wouldn't be anything if it wasn't for you guys. So in a way, yeah, it sucks that my old channel was deleted, but it's a blessing in disguise. And a lot of those old stories, yeah, they were good. We all like the Locust Lakes and stuff like that. But I could re-upload an old Locust Lake story and put it up on this channel, and you're instantly going to hear the difference. I I sucked my first 2 years of narrating. I was terrible. So all these stories are all getting redone. Um, some of them were being redone, like I was doing reboots and stuff all the time. But like the Locust Lakes, where you have to like get 7 or 8 actors, and they're all like 45 minutes to an hour long. There's, I was never gonna reboot those. Those were, hey, this is what the story is. This is what it is. Now I'm forced to redo them, and they're all coming out better than they were before. So in a way, it's a good thing. And it's a channel that I own. I don't really have to worry about somebody claiming my videos and my stories as their own because I wrote them. Yeah, there is kind of a socio universe. If you guys hadn't noticed, the Locust Lake stories take place in Susquehanna County, Pennsylvania. The Devil's Punch Bowl takes place in Susquehanna, inside Susquehanna, the city of Susquehanna, within Susquehanna County. Um, the Delway's Meat House Diner um, actually has a part in that story where the character goes to the Devil's Punch Bowl within Susquehanna County. Um, I haven't reread it yet, but the fence down the $1 Million Highway, that takes place in Halstead, which is also mentioned in Locust Lake, which is a town inside Susquehanna County. So if you're seeing a pattern here, there definitely is one to be found. Not that every story takes place in one little spot, but a lot of my stories are, yes, and Doughboys too, are very interconnected. Yeah, there's connections. The Devil's Punch Bowls in Susquehanna, PA. They're all Susquehanna, PA. You'll find that a lot of my stories take place in Susquehanna County, Pennsylvania. It's kind of like my Dairy Maine. Trying to think of what other stories off the top of my head take place. They take place in Susquehanna County. I'm like scrolling through them now. I mean, I guess a lot of them um, do. They're just never actually mentioned. The Clubhouse, Follow Me to Rock City. Um, those take place in Susquehanna County, though I don't think I actually mentioned it in the story. But yeah, there's a few. I mean, obviously ones like, The Monster of Pope Lick Creek, the Familiar series, which is mainly about the Pacific Northwest. All that kind of stuff does not take place in Susquehanna County, Pennsylvania. So it's not that all my stories do. It's just that a lot of them do. No, I do not have a Discord server. A lot of people ask me if I have a Discord, if I can join them on Discord. I don't know. Call me a boomer, I guess. I mean, I'm not that old, but like Discord and Instagram they're just things I don't do. Um, I have a hard enough time trying to keep up with Facebook and Twitter. And, even though I'm pandemic and homebound, I'm still working 10 hours a day. And so I don't want to say, well, I don't have time to learn anything new, because I have to learn new stuff all the time, every day. But that's kind of the point. I mean, when it's time to wind down and be done for the day, like I want to be done. I want to write. I want to read. I want to play a video game. I want to watch a movie. I don't want to learn to do something new. Though at this point, now that the channel is monetized, it might be in my best interest to go ahead and open up a Discord, and maybe even get to use an Instagram a little bit more to start getting my name out there a little bit and increase the views to the channel. I do not have a MySpace. Never had a MySpace, actually. And for the longest time, I only had a Facebook account for my YouTube channel. Didn't have a Facebook account with my actual name on it. Now I do. So I have two Facebook accounts, so that way my worlds don't collide. You got to remember, just like I'm imagining people here don't know who I am in real life, real name, real face, stuff like that. People in my real life know nothing about this side of me. They know nothing about the horror and the narrating and stuff like that. I do keep these two things very, very separated. The main reasons for that is, one, not everybody appreciates horror. That's number one. Um, if you tell people that you like horror, you write horror, you narrate horror, they look at you like you have two heads, like you've done something wrong, like you're a freak, or there's something wrong with you. Two, prospective employers, stuff like that. I mean, anybody nowadays can go on social media and take a look at things that you do and what you're doing online, and if it's good for the company image and stuff like that. So it's just best to keep the two things separate. Yeah, and I'm not saying that that's a good thing, chaos. I mean, my approach might not be the best. There might be, hey, I might be able to show my face here and everybody accept me for who I am, my real name and all that stuff. And I might be able to tell everybody in my real life about what I do, and they all think it was great. But like you, I think that's doubtful. And I'm not saying you guys wouldn't appreciate me, but let's face it, the guy under the mask is not sociopathic. That's not cleaving thought from bone. That's blah blah blah. My real me. My face on this channel, my face is the mask. The hockey mask with the spikes, that's sociopathic's face. To take that off would devalue the brand, I guess you could say, and in a way that makes perfect sense. Oh. There we are, everybody. All right, so I'm gonna be shutting down the stream here in a second. I hit my vape real quick. Sorry, I had to do that once on camera. Hey, hey, Ingleside boy, how you doing, man? I'm literally closing out the stream now, so you're gonna have to go back and you missed it, man. But like I was telling everybody, I'm gonna leave the story up, and I'm gonna repurpose it too, so you won't miss anything. I'm really happy you were able to make it in, man. That's awesome. Glad I could see you. I want to thank you guys for being here. I really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I love you all. Thanks a ton for being here to support me tonight. Thanks a ton for supporting the channel, supporting my writing, my narrating, everything that I like to do for you guys. It's a great feeling to get that in return. Very, very much appreciate you coming in. Hope you enjoyed the story tonight, and I really hope to cook up something great for you next time. Don't miss out on tomorrow's premiere, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And again, I'll be seeing you guys next time, and good things in the future. So you don't want to miss out. Thanks a ton for being here, guys. I really want to catch you on the next one, and hope you all stay healthy, stay safe. Have a great one. Bye-bye.